guys, today I'm my second update for my chopping block Will I Declutter series for 2019. If you're unfamiliar with this series, I've done it on my channel for the past 3 years, and basically at the beginning of the year I chose a set group of products that I wanted to test out and make a final decision whether I wanted to keep them or not. I'll have my intro linked up in the cards. So in these updates I will be telling you about the items that I tested. I will also let you know any other products I'm choosing to declutter, anything that I will be returning, and anything that I threw out because it went bad. So we will start by talking about the products that I tested out over these past 2 months for my chopping block that I will be keeping. And there's actually quite a few. I'm probably keeping more this update than, well, I've only had one other update, but I'm keeping more than I expected, but I feel pretty good with it. And with all of these things, or most of them, when it gets close to the end of the year, I'll look at everything I kept, I will test it again, and then decide if I really want to keep it or not. So last update, I introduced all of my liquid and cream cheek products, and I'm keeping all of them except for one, which I was kind of surprised by. So this first one here is something I need to test more. This is the Benefit Dandelion Dew, which is basically a light pink liquid blush, and I think it looks very pretty on the skin. I'm applying it with a damp beauty blender, but I don't know, I'm having a hard time applying it, getting it placed just right, and I thought about decluttering it, but for some reason part of me just couldn't give it up, even though this is a freebie. I don't know why, so I need to test it out a little bit more because it is a pretty product, but I don't know. So this is something that needs more testing, but I definitely will be keeping the Benefit Dew the Hoola Liquid Bronzer. I really like this formula. I think the color is a really nice warm shade. I also apply this with a damp sponge, and I really like that one, so I'll be keeping that. I also tested the Wet n Wild Mega Cushion Contour in Cafe Au Slay. I will be keeping this one as well. This is not something that I would repurchase, but I do want to use it up. It's definitely a little bit darker, so I can only really use this in the summertime, and that's when I'll use all of these products. But this is something that I do think works well. It's easy to blend. Then I have the Lancome My Parisian Blush in number 2 Rose Haussman. It's not my favorite color, but I love this formula. This formula is what I wish ColourPop Super Shock blushes would be, because those can be so dry, and this is really easy to pick up on a brush, but it isn't super creamy. It looks beautiful on the skin. It applies and blends really easily, so this is a product I do enjoy. And then the last thing would be the e.l.f. Aqua blush and bronzer in the shade Bronzed Peach. So this is definitely a little bit dark for my skin tone, but I really like the formula of both of these. They look beautiful. They blend out really nicely. This is a very, very interesting texture. So again, I'll be keeping all of those, and I feel pretty satisfied with it. I mean, yeah, I need to definitely make a point to get a lot of use out of these this summer, but I do like them well enough to keep them for now. So we'll see. The next thing that I tested and decided to keep would be the ColourPop My Little Pony palette. I'll be mentioning this in my favorites for this month because this is a very nice palette. Now, I didn't actually use the blues in here. I used this pinky purple row and then this peachy orange row, and this one is totally fine. Good shadows, very pretty, but the look I created with these 3 shadows right here blew me away. I absolutely loved it. I wore it in a couple of videos. Quality is great, and I love those shades, and part of me has considered taking a few of my favorite shades out of each of my smaller ColourPop palettes and making one palette of my favorite shades, but I hate the idea of breaking up palettes, and I'm worried I won't use them that much after that. But it's something that I am considering because I want to keep this palette literally for these 3 shades. The rest of them can go. They're fine, but I'm not going to pull for this palette to create those 2 different looks just with this one. So I am keeping it for now, and I will decide whether I'm going to just keep those 3 shades or if I'm going to keep the entire palette. Then we've got 5 lip products that I'm keeping, which again is a lot for me. So the first 2 are ColourPop Lippie Sticks that are just some of my all-time faves. I don't use this formula a ton, the Lippie Sticks. I don't use them a ton. They're not my favorite formula, especially not the matte finishes. Matte X's are incredible, but I don't have that many of them. If I could make all of these in matte X finishes, they would be amazing, and I feel like I would use them a lot. So this is Westie, which is a beautiful blue tone pink that's a little bit muted. Absolutely love. And then I have my all-time favorite peach from ColourPop because it has a nice pink undertone. This is the shade Hype Girl. Love both of these, so I'll be keeping those. And then I'm going to be keeping 3 liquid lipsticks. Again, I will be testing all of these more so I can be for sure at the end of the year whether I really want to keep them or not. So this is the Tarte Tarteist Lip Paint in the shade Birthday Suit, which is a really pretty like nudie pink color. Then we have the Stila Stay All Day liquid lipstick in the shade Perla, which has even more pink to it, where the Tarte has a little bit more nude. This one has a little bit more gray or purple tones to it. And then I did keep one of the Pixi Matte Last liquid lipsticks in the shade Pastel Petal. I do like this formula. I like the applicator. And this is again more of like a pinky beigey nude. The scent is not my favorite, but I can get past it, and the packaging is super cute. Just reminds me of Tinkerbell. So those are all of the products I tested that I'll be keeping. Now moving on to the tested products that I will be decluttering. I only have one from the Cream Liquid Cheek products I tested. This is the deluxe size sample of the Anastasia Contour Stick in the shade Mink. I really prefer liquid blush and bronzer products. Are just much easier to work with. For me, I had a hard time blending this out without having it disturb my foundation, and obviously it did look very intense on me because I have a very fair skin tone. So I'm going to pass this on to my friend Ami, who has a bit more color, and I'm hoping that will work better for her. Then I've got 4 lip products I will be decluttering. The first is a ColourPop Ultra Matte Lip in the shade Fresh Cut. As I've told you guys, I'm not going to repurchase any more ColourPop Ultra Matte or Ultra Satin lips. I just have not been in love with the formula. They expire too quickly. This one got very, very dry on me. It's a pretty color, but it's just going to go. And this one is going to go in the trash. The other 3 I'm going to see if I can give away because I've used them all once or twice max. This first one is a Sephora Cream Lip Stain in the shade number 35, Bohemian Purple. This is a very pretty shade, but it's super purple and super dusty. This is just a little bit too bold for me. And then I am decluttering 2 shades of the Pixi Matte Last Liquid Lipsticks. They sent me the entire range, and I kept the 5 lightest, more nude colors, and of course, as you would suspect, they're all very similar. So especially these first 3 I tested out, so I kept the one that was a little bit more pinky, and then I'm going to be decluttering Bare Beauty and Matte Beige. Again, all really similar. Good formula, pretty colors, but I feel like I just needed the one. So those are going to go to a good home. So now I'm going to talk about the products I actually returned before I forget. There may have been more than this, so I need to think about it, but there were a couple things that I ended up decluttering. So the first thing would be some Urban Decay Vice lipsticks. So right before Ulta had their 21 Days of Beauty, Sephora did a couple weeks of a daily wow, and the Vice lipsticks were half off, which I was super excited about. So I purchased a few of the shades I was really interested in, and they happen to be in cream finishes. So the shades I believe I purchased would be Violate. I wish it could have been called something else. I really, really hate that word. It just gives me the heebie-jeebies, which was a really pretty pinky purple. Ravenswood, and oh gosh, something else. And Ravenswood was a really pretty color. Violate was a beautiful color. What was the other one? I can't remember. Liar or Rush? I want to say maybe it was Liar. And I didn't love that color on me as much. And then I got 66, which was released with the Born to Run palette. And that one was just way too dark looking on my lips. That one was a Comfort Matte finish, which was a really nice finish, but I didn't love that color on me. The other ones, I did not like that cream finish. I felt like I could feel the formula on my lips, and it was just too creamy and it felt thin and kind of slippery. I just did not like that cream texture whatsoever, which is weird because I have some Urban Decay Revolution lipsticks and cream finishes and I don't have a problem with those, but I couldn't get past the way it felt on my lips, so I did end up returning those. And then I had a couple things from the Ulta 21 Days of Beauty, so I did do an entire haul video on that. I'll have it linked in the cards. There were some things I returned that I did not use, which I'm not going to go into. You can watch that video. But the things that I returned that I did use would be the Bare Minerals Gen Nude Radiant Lipsticks. And these were some things I really wanted. I was super excited for. But first off, the lighter color I got emphasized every line on my lips. I had that like white inner rim, which I hate, and this was a very thin creamy texture which felt comfortable on the lips, but all the product was gone in 20 minutes and I just cannot handle that. Like a product, I would like it to last like an hour, 2 hours, fade gracefully, not just be gone. And I have found other more creamy lipsticks or have a shiny finish that lasts longer, so I just returned all those, which is really disappointing because I wanted to love them, but I just really was disappointed with the lasting power. The other thing I returned really surprised me. This was the MAC Paint Pot in Soft Ochre. First off, it was too dark for my skin tone. I should have gone with Painterly, but I'm like so stuck in my ways about like, I'm yellow tone, and I am. It was just too dark for me. But it made my eyelids look really dry. And I have oily lids. I don't think they're as oily as they used to be, but like they'll definitely crease if I don't use an eyeshadow primer and set it, you know, like they will definitely crease. But my eyes looked so dry with this. I didn't like it whatsoever. And what I always do is I apply a translucent eyeshadow primer, then I set under my brow bone with a matte white, and I set in my crease with a matte cream, and then I put my colorful shadow on my lid. So I did one eye with my regular method, one eye with Soft Ochre, then I put my eyeshadow on and literally you couldn't tell a difference. So I felt like, you know, I might as well just use what I'm using because it works well for me. I think it looks really like a really nice clean blank canvas that doesn't emphasize wrinkles too much. It doesn't make my eye look dry. I'd rather just do that routine that works for me than use that one product where like literally it didn't do anything extra for me except it made my eyes look a little bit dry, and like I had a hard time blending it with my makeup because I do my face makeup before my eye makeup, so I just didn't love it. So I did end up returning all of those products. Again, there may have been something else I'm forgetting, but if I remember it, I'll mention it in my next update. So now I'm going to tell you about the products that I am going to be throwing away. And unfortunately, there are 4 of them. Could be worse, could be better. But the first 2 would be some ColourPop Super Shock Shadows. And I've had these in my collection. When did ColourPop release as a brand? Like, I want to say I've had them since like 2015, 2016. Maybe 2015. Like, it feels like a really freaking long time. This one is called Snapdragon. It's a matte finish. I love this color, and as hopefully you can see, there's a bunch of little bits all over it. When I'm trying to pick it up on a brush or a sponge, it is just breaking up, getting really pilly, and it's not easy to apply. And then the other one I have is called Daddy. It is a matte purple pressed pigment finish. This one does stain the lids. It's doing the same thing. It's got those little pilly bits all over it, which drives me crazy. And luckily these 2 shades are actually permanent, and I did end up repurchasing these from Ulta during the spring beauty sale when they were on sale, and then mine arrived broken twice, and then they refunded me my money and I just kind of mushed them back together. So that's why I'm throwing these out, because I have replacements for them. But yeah, these have definitely gone bad and they are old. I feel like with the matte shades, once they start drying out or going bad, it's really difficult to work with them. But the shimmers, I can totally make them work once they're dry. These, not so much. Then I'm going to be throwing out these 2 cream eyeshadows, and it's not because anything's wrong with them necessarily, it's because I've literally had these since like 2011, 2012. So it feels like it feels like it's time. And this one was easy, this one was hard. So the easy one would be the Milani Shadow Eyes Pencil in Champagne Toast. I love this formula. I don't even know if these are still around. I know they've gotten rid of so many shades. The Milani Shadow Eyes Pencils are the best eye pencils from the drugstore. They do not crease like the NYX Jumbo eye pencils do. They're very pigmented. They glide on super easily. They're nice to blend out. I have some of the matte finishes and the shimmers. This color is just not essential for me because I do have other things similar, and this is the oldest one in my collection. Then we have the difficult one here, which is the Maybelline Color Tattoo in Pomegranate Punk. This was a discontinued shade, and now the color tattoos in general haven't discontinued, which is such a bummer. I love this. This is ancient. I don't have any eye base in this color, and I love this shade because I love wearing cranberries in the wintertime. I do have other taupey bases or more purpley, darker bases that will work okay with shadows like this, but I really wish I had this again, but it's seriously just ancient and it needs to go, but that does break my heart. I love this formula as well. It doesn't crease on me, it's very pigmented, but I definitely do prefer shadow sticks over shadow pots, and more brands are making stick versions just because they're easier to use. You guys know that I always use cream shadows as a base for my powder shadows. I feel like they're essential unless I'm using a ColourPop Super Shock, but these are too old and just need to go. Then I do have 4 other makeup products that I will be decluttering. Doesn't feel like a ton, but I've got 4 things here to pass on to a friend. So I went through some of my unopened primers because I have a ton right now of little deluxe size primers, and I decided to pass on 2 that I've tried before that I like, but I just don't need considering the great amount of primers that I have. So I'm going to be passing both of these on to my friend Ami. So we have the MAC Prep and Prime Natural Radiance in the Radiant Yellow shade, which is a nice like hydrating primer. It doesn't matter if it says yellow or pink, it goes on to the skin clear, but it's just okay for me. And then I have the Cover FX Blurring Primer. I actually have 2 little deluxe sample sizes of this, and I've got several other pore filling primers in my collection that I need to work through. This is also a good one. I do enjoy it. I would especially recommend this for someone that has more oily skin, but I just don't need this one. So I'm going to be giving that to Ami. Oh, I forgot. This was something from my chopping block that I tested and I'm choosing to get rid of as well. I totally forgot about that. This is the NYX Duo Chromatic Highlighter in the shade Snow Rose. It's a very nice light shade, but when you swatch it, it does have some pink and golden tones to it. It's very pretty, but I feel like I can just see it on my skin, and it's very similar to one of the shades in the Kat Von D Alchemist palette, which I was gifted by my friend Jean, and I don't reach for duochromatic highlighters a ton, so I feel like if I have that palette, that's probably all that I need. And the last thing I'm going to be decluttering is the Bare Minerals Bare Pro Performance Wear Liquid Foundation in number 3 Champagne. This is a great color match for me. Very fair and yellow. I got this foundation for like 20 bucks, which was a really good price on sale at Ulta. And at first I liked it, but then I was using this every single day trying to get some good use on it, and you can't tell I used it at all. Like, I left it sitting up, the product never settled, and this is more of like a light medium coverage, but I could not get it to build upon itself. It didn't last all day on me, it didn't keep me matte, and seriously, it's just really irritating me that I cannot see any progress at all, even though I had used this so many days in a row. And I know my friend Jean does like this one much better than I do, and I think she was going to be gifting me a foundation, so I was like, let's just swap. So I'm really excited that Jean enjoys this and will hopefully get better use out of it than I did, because just thinking about trying to actually pan this drove me nuts. So I just figured pass it on to someone who would like it much more. So those are all of the makeup products in my chopping block, and now I have my nail polish. So if you're not interested in that, thank you for watching. I'll have another update in 2 months, which I'm really excited about. And I feel like I wasn't doing the best job of testing my products. So what I did like a month ago was I set out all of my products and I put them with like, okay, these products are going to be tested for this update all the way through the rest of the year. That way everything will be tested, and I try to just go with the flow, but it wasn't working for me. So I want to make sure that everything will get tested during the appropriate time of year. So when we get more towards the fall time, I'm going to have so many products, especially Lippies to test. Lippies are always like the big chunk of products for me to test. So I kept a lot this time, but especially with the lip products, I might change my mind at the end of the year, but we'll see. I mean, there are things that I already have in my collection. I don't need to be in a rush to give them away. So anyways, enough with the rambling, on to the nail polish. So for the nail polishes, I tested 10, I'm keeping 4, and I am passing along 6. The ones I'm keeping, I'm going to test them again to make sure I truly want to keep them in my collection. I think I need to compare them to other things I have. So the first one is Pop Beauty's Mint Magic. They don't make this anymore. People used to rave about this on YouTube centuries ago, like when I first started watching YouTube. It's a stunning color, but this formula is terrible. It is impossible to get it fully opaque. Even on 3 coats, it's just a really finicky polish, which again, it's a pastel neon that's really hard to do, but I cannot get rid of this because it's so unique. And at this point, it's so old that like I wouldn't want to give it to somebody else either, so I'm keeping it. Next, I have something that was newer to me from my friend Amber. This is the LVX polish in the shade Laguna. This is a stunning blue. This has a really nice formula, and I've got things similar but nothing quite like this one, so I will be keeping that in my collection. Then I have 2 purples that are not my most favorite purple, but like I had these on my chopping block last year and I kept them. I have them this year and I kept them. So I don't know, because if I'm only using them for chopping block, like I don't know that I need to keep them, but for some reason I'm having a hard time because they're pretty. And that would be 2 purples. The first is Essie's Playdate, which is a very beautiful purple shade, but it's not my most favorite purple. I like purples that are a little bit lighter, have a little bit more pastel to them. And then I have Zoya's Pixie Dust in Stevie. Your nails look like little gumdrops when you wear this. I don't love textured polishes, but this one is a really, really nice formula. And oh no, it's pretty. I like them. I'm keeping them for now, but those are ones I don't have to have in my collection. Next, I have the 6 polishes I will be decluttering, and the first one is from Julie G. This is the shade White Orchid. This is a pretty nice white polish. I just don't wear whites very much, so that's why I will be passing that on. These polishes I'm going to throw away, and I've got a decent amount of use on them. These are my Berry M Jelly polishes in the shade Blueberry and Prickly Pear. My mom and sister bought these for me when my sister went on her senior trip, which was 2014. So, wow, 2014, yeah. So these are a little older, and even from the jump, they were so thick. I have put quite a bit of polish thinner in there, but no, these just don't apply evenly. They're very goopy and clumpy, and I'm finally going to get rid of them, even though I love the colors. The formula is just terrible for me. Then I have Zoya's Blue, spelled B-L-U. It's a very, very, very white base blue. This is basically like mostly white with a couple drops of blue mixed in, and it's just a little too pale for my liking, but it is a really nice formula, and I do love Zoya polishes. Then I have Milani Color Statement in Mint Crush. This is a beautiful, beautiful bluey green mint. I do like the color of this. I just have several other mints in my collection that I like a little bit more, and this has a really nice formula as well, but I will be passing that on. And then I have OPI Excuse Me Big Sur, which is like a pastel salmon-y pink color. I just don't love this shade on my skin tone, and I was very intrigued by it, but it's just a little too mumsy for me, so I will not be keeping that one either. So guys, that was my chopping block update number 2. I'm excited to move on to the next set of products and see what I'm able to keep and get rid of. So I want to thank you all so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye guys.